Good morning, guys. Good morning. Sorry about the network challenges. Ugochi, good morning. TT, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Rotimi. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. We're sorry for starting a bit late, network issues, but it's good to have you on the Good Morning Education Show.
Good
Ugochi, good
morning, Mr.
morning.
Ritimi. Good morning, everybody. Um, welcome to
I
the
guess
show
the
this
love in the
morning.
air is affecting the network.
I guess.
All right, fantastic. So we have a very short time, but we're just trying to make it count, right? So our topic today is love in the air. No, well, love in the ear actually, EAR, not in the air. A lot of times people say love is in the air, but this time around, this show and this episode is dedicated more um, to reward. When we have the concept of love in the air, is more like we being able to show love.
Oh, is it just me or Rotimi has
We've
disappeared?
lost him.
Okay, let me see. Oh my goodness, seems to be one of those days. Rotimi, we can't hear you if you can hear us. Oh, okay. I think his network has. Okay, we can just start the conversation. I'm not sure there's any news. Ceci Chick, any news from your end, or we just go straight into the topic of today?
I think we can go straight since we've lost some time. Yeah. Just that I would have loved to hear Mr. Ritimi's perspective on this topic, how he wants to go about it.
Well, pending when he comes, we can just um start from our own angle. Love in the ear. So, Ceci Chick, when you hear that, what comes to mind?
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly do not know.
Oh, good morning,
Um,
KK. We've missed you. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. And it seems as if
Hi,
Rotimi is
I
back.
have missed everybody so much. So,
Good morning, welcome, Ma.
We've missed you too.
Missed you too.
Rotimi, are you
Hello.
back? Okay, yes, Rotimi is back.
it's good to
Yeah.
be
So
back.
let's get started.
Wow, Rotimi is really having um network issues this morning.
Hello, Titi. Can you hear me now?
Rotimi, yes, I
Yes, I
can
can
hear
hear
you
you.
now,
Can
but
you hear
this
me?
is
Yeah.
yes, I
So
can
can
hear
you
you, but you
just
said anything in the last 2 minutes. We didn't hear anything.
Okay, so I want you to help us start off the show from the topic that we have
Hello.
today. Love is in the ear.
Okay, maybe you need to give us some background to kick off the discussion.
I've done that already, Titi. I've done that already.
We didn't hear you. I'm
We
sorry, we didn't
didn't
hear
hear
anything.
you.
So the basic thing about the show is we normally hear people talk about love is in the air. That's talking about the atmosphere, the practice of love based on trend. But now looking at love in the ear, we're looking at it from the value that you show to people. Reward systems within systems, reward systems within association and friendship. That's what it is about.
Okay. Okay. Love is in the ear. Okay. I don't know. Let's start with KK, our wonderful school owner who can kick it off in terms of saying how within your school system are you showing love on it beyond Val's Day.
Okay, so I mean, I'll apologize for the noise. I'm in a moving vehicle, so you might hear a bit of background noise. My apologies for that. So the first thing is, if people don't know that you care about them, then they don't care what you know or what you want to get done. So it's very important that in any system, be it a school, that we propose to show is tangible. For me and for a lot of people, love might assume the form of some level of support, right? Because if you do love somebody, then you care enough about them as individuals to, first of all, even want to know what they are about, what their needs are, and of course, how you can then fit in to those needs. It might be tough love, it might be not normal, like regular love, but at the end of the day, people need to know that, what, I can count on this person. This person does love me. They have my back, whether on the good times or the bad times, whether they're showing it or they're not. But I know that when push comes to shove, this person's got my back. And that can be in terms of job stability, can be in terms of um paying salaries on time. It can be in terms of having a scheme for loans and things like that. Several other things. Let me not say everything this at my first discussion. But in terms of showing love, what we do at Valentine's especially is we have this system where everybody writes their names on sheets of paper, and staff, everybody, nobody is excluded from that activity. And it's very interesting because everybody is wondering, who picked me. Now we put a minimum number of value for the gifts that you buy, but you can go to town if you want to go to town with the gifts. And so everybody picks one, and then we do a gifts exchange, and it's always really exciting watching everybody bringing out their gifts and just screaming and laughing and just very happy. So I'm looking forward to the gift exchange, and yeah, so that's how we do things within our own school system. So people know they're supported. People know that if they do something wrong, they're not going to get a can for it immediately. Because for us, have I taught you this thing? No. Okay, so obviously there's a development deficiency here. Let's see how we can close this. And then we would hold you accountable for the standard that we know that you have been exposed to literally. All right. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, safety chick. I say safety chick. KK. That's wonderful. I think when I think more about it, I'm saying when a school, and doesn't have to be only a school, when an organization has different ways for showing the members of its community that it loves them, then that's really what's important. We don't need a special day to do that. So when I think along the year, I say that you have people that it's their birthdays, it's their anniversary, a new childbirth, they're celebrating something. Once you have your community, which is rally around you, support you, then you know that there's love already flowing in that school. So when people are getting married, and there's some weddings you go to and you can see the turnout of the office of that where the person walks. Then you can see so you know that there's some love, because going for those events is a sacrifice. When things happen and there's major support and love flowing, it's important. So I think when I start out by saying that what's important, is a thing of what the Bible says here. Rejoice with those who rejoice. I think that's one of the first ways of showing love in our system, is to ensure that we're rejoicing with those who are rejoicing. So their birthdays, their anniversaries, childbirth, weddings. Ensure that you have a system that supports the office going en masse to support that person when they're in their day of celebration. Okay, safety chick, let's back to you. To just add to this conversation of love in the ear.
Okay, so Yes, I agree with you both that it's really important that people feel accepted and people feel loved, because when people feel loved, it's easier for them to do what they're supposed to do. When they feel accepted, it's easier for them to, be the best version of themselves. But if they do not feel it because the environment is toxic, they begin to think of ways to leave that environment. Yeah, so it's something that should be encouraged, and there are many ways to show love. Love could be in demeanor, it could be in gift, it could be in creating a suitable work environment, could be in ensuring that the atmosphere is, friendly. It's not people are not afraid to express themselves. It's not toxic, basically. Yeah, so I agree that love must be felt. It should not just be something that is hanging in the air. It should be felt in real time.
Okay, Rotimi, are you there? I think Rotimi is not there. Thank you, Safety Chick. Love should be felt in real time. So beyond birthdays, beyond anniversaries and all that, what do you think are policies that schools can put in place to show love? And I don't know if KK is still with us.
Yes, I'm there, but I didn't quite get that question.
I said,
What?
what policies do you think schools can put in
Right.
place to show love? And this is not just among the teachers, but also the students. What do you think are some of the policies they can put in place to create an enabling love environment? I think that's what I would. Over to you, KK. Oh, I don't know.
I think we've lost
Your assessment policies should be all inclusive in terms of. Hello.
KK, you have to start
Hello.
all over again. We didn't hear. We can hear you now, but you have to start all over again.
Oh, okay. All right. So I was saying that I think my earphones are disconnected somewhere, so there's a bit of that going on. So I was saying that it's really important that you have an assessment. I said for me, the first policy is the assessment policy, because in assessing people, they kind of feel judged. So your assessment policy must be such that it is encompassing. People feel that, look, you're concerned about my development, not just what I can do for you as an institution. So both for the children and for the members of staff, and assess a robust assessment policy that kind of brings the points of views of everybody is really important. Secondly, we have a celebration policy. So things like birthdays, we give cakes. Ouch, you guys are almost hitting each other. Turn your hand out. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's wrong with my driver this morning. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. So you have a birthday policy. We have a celebration. They need to. Hello. Am I still audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. All right. So loan schemes, for example, are another thing that we do for the members of staff. What else do we do? What are the policies? Of course, safety policies are really important. And again, safety is not just in terms of whether you're hurt, it's emotional, social safety, which are really important as well in the workplace. Both again for the children, for the staff, or even the parents, our community in general. So all those three policies are policies that I see are really important, because it kind of gives people, they understand where they are within the organization as a whole, and they're not afraid to express themselves, and they know, like Titi said, and even Safety Chick, that somebody would celebrate with me if nothing at all. Back to you, Titi.
Yeah, I love what you said, honestly, and I just want to reiterate that what you said, that even your assessment when you do your appraisal system, when people know that it is not as if, it's going to face a judge and a jury. It's a process whereby they're trying to say, how can we help you get better? So even love can be shown there, because when you know that I want you to get better, it's not that I'm coming to judge you, to pull you down, but it's that I really am interested in you getting better. It's really a place where love can be shown, so people know. And so that even when they leave your organization, the thing they can boast about the organization is that organization was an organization that was interested in my development. They might not have appreciated it while they were there with you, because most people don't appreciate it when they're going through the process. But when they leave and they go to any other organization, they will know that that organization I'm coming from was one that was interested in my growth. They pushed me, they nudged me, even though I was a reluctant follower. But in looking back in hindsight, I find that it was all for my own good, beyond just the office ticking the box. So I think that is very, very important. That is important that people know that there are policies in your organization that is really for their good. Beyond so many things. There can be other policies, such as the health system. There can be other policies in terms of welfare you give. And I think another thing is that even beyond welfare is things like when you can sense that your staff need a break, even though it's not in the policy. You know how last year was tough for a lot of people, and then sometimes you can just say, you know what, even when the people are pushing for you to do more, you say no, the staff need a break. The staff need a break. We need to go on midterm. We need a break. Or when people wanted there to be classes during the summer, and you're saying no, the teachers need to go on break. I think all those things also
Yeah,
show
absolutely,
love.
Titi.
Yeah. And then even when it's not about school, but you know that someone is going through certain things, and you say, it's okay, you can close early today. It's okay, you can take the day off. You really don't want to, but you just know that this person needs that time off. Imagine if someone has had a child ill, and the child has been in the hospital, and the person's child has been discharged, but the person needed to come to work the next day. If you've been through that process where your child has been in hospital, you know that after that season of being in hospital, the mother needs a break. And when you as a school owner can say, you know what, just take the day off, use this weekend to recover your energy, when you know what they're going through. I think those are just some of the things that, beyond policy, each person needs to be aware of.
The human
Okay.
face is really important.
Yes. Safety Chick, back to you. My question to you is saying, beyond the school, having policies, we as one-on-one, that's colleague to colleague, what are the things that we can do to show love on a
Kindness.
daily basis?
Kindness on a day-to-day. Kindness should be normalized, and I know that people come from different backgrounds, and not all of them may have been kind naturally, but I feel like there is a way there's an atmosphere that is in a school that even when people come with bad behavior, they keep it at the gate and they just blend into what goes on in that school system. So when people are always courteous, people always are on the lookout for others, people go the extra mile, people check on one another, people use the words please, thank you, I'm sorry, just that atmosphere of kindness. It just makes whoever comes into that environment to know that there are certain behaviors that are not tolerated here. So even without
Absolutely.
saying much, just by being in that space, you will just arrange yourself. It's the same way Nigerians would cross the border. Just from leaving the Nigerian airport to another airport, they are all well behaved. But then when they come back here,
Arranging
they tend to
themselves.
treat us too. So yes, so that if there's that culture, prevailing culture of kindness and thoughtfulness from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to, it just flows through, and when people come in, they just they just assimilate, into that that space. So I think that because that one is not it's not policy, it's not only policy that would do it. It takes the
Exactly.
human being being genuinely
Yes.
kind. Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, jumping on what Safety Chick just said, we should honestly, like she said, normalize kindness, normalize laughter, normalize humanity in our schools. We should stop feeling like, and when parents come and treat teachers and school staff like they're just a rung above their nannies at home, when we, the school leaders, do the same thing, it's rubbish, it's inhumane, and it should be thoroughly discouraged. But that's something that I see a lot of the time. You treat your staff like as if they're not that important. They are. Let them laugh, let them play, let them gist. It's really important. I just wanted to jump on Safety Chick's words and just put that in.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it basically.
Yeah, I agree that, and then the kindness, like KK, you are saying, starts from leadership. That kindness, it starts from leadership, because once the leadership is kind, it kind of forces all the other people to align. So it's important. I think it's important that we are kind. And there are various ways to show kindness. Kindness starts with the way we speak to people. You're right. When people come and talk to people anyhow, especially when it's when you can't see any need for it, even when there are needs for it, you have to caution yourself in the way you talk. You need to your words need to be kind. So even if you are giving someone feedback, it's not feedback that is demeaning. It's not feedback that is pulling down people. We need to normalize kindness. We need to and it's in various kind acts. You know how it is. Like when people need help, you don't feel that, oh, someone's hand is full, but you are the boss. They still need to come and carry your own load for you. It's just those little acts that we do every day that should normalize kindness. It should be something, and we should just taking off from what KK said, we should not allow parents, be harsh to teachers, even when they make mistakes. So yes, we all make mistakes. When people come and say, "Oh, this happened to my child," when the child was in your care. Yes, I agree. It happened when the child was in my care. But you know what? I always say, as a parent, even as a parent, I know the things that happened to my own child in my own care. So in as much as this has happened, I think for me, I always say what's important is what is the school doing more to prevent it, from happening, and how did they handle it, rather than just do as if, in my own care, my child is the safest in the world. We all know that's not true. So I think it's important that kindness is something that we encourage between the teachers, between the leadership, and among the parents, and then finally among the children. So as we talk, I'm like, how can we encourage children? Because this thing is, if you can inculcate it at an early age, then we know that as adults, as adults, this is what they would do. What do you advise to anybody that is listening right now? How do we inculcate kindness and love in children at this early age?
Modeling.
Yeah, okay. I thought Safety Chick was going. Safety Chick,
Okay, I
you go.
said
Okay. Safety Chick, start, since you jumped on the train already. Safety Chick, start, and then we'll come back to KK.
okay. So as you were speaking, it was just one word that came to me, and that's modeling. Modeling. If we cannot tell them do as I say and not as I do, it doesn't work that way. Children do what they see other people do. I remember seeing on social media some weeks ago where a man was saying that parents should be seen hugging their wives, pecking each other, playing, laughing, and all that, so that their children can see them doing that. It's not every time that was how the man wrote the post, and it's the same thing, yes, even in the school environment. The things you want people to inculcate in behavior, it must be modeled. They have to see it being done, so that it's not a case of you're telling us not to do this, but you are also doing it. You see, so you have to lead by example. It starts from there. And if you are modeling good behavior, and then a child in your class now does something right, you have more, should I say, liberty to say, oh no, we don't do that here. Or to say sorry to her, say please, or say thank you, and the child will want to align because she knows that, okay, this is how we operate in this environment. So I would say modeling is a very good place to start.
So there's something that I call the curriculum of empathy. And I call it that because it's not written anywhere, but it's the way, just like Safety Chick said, we should model things in our environment. So we should understand the fact that children themselves are deserving of respect. Everybody's deserving of respect. And if you respect each other, what matters to you, what affects you, negatively or positively, I would put it on my front burner. And I would remember to bring that in. So it's really important that we're empathetic in our classrooms, we're empathetic in our schools, we're empathetic in our homes. And that's extremely, extremely important. That's something that we should honestly, when we say loud it, we should loud it. So when you're teaching, for example, you understand the fact that the children also have something to say. That means that when the children go out there someday and they're older, they will understand the fact that other people too have a voice and have something to contribute, not just them. So it's really bringing all of these things in and understanding that everybody is a human being. Everybody has something to say. Everybody is deserving of love and respect, and everybody should have an opportunity to use their voices, yeah, and in a safe space. So because I disagreed, I mean, I've had the students disagree with me, oh, but Ms. Keke, I don't think so. And I'm like, oh, really? It takes you aback, but you're like, okay, so tell me, what are your own views? Because they're your views, they're my views. It doesn't necessarily make them fact, but we should be able to share our views and our opinions about things. And when we do that, like this topic we're talking about, love will be in the ear, because we're constantly, and not just in the ear, in the eyes, in the hands, in the mouth, because we're constantly doing things from the platform of understanding, of empathy. Back to you, Titi.
Thank you, Keke. And we have had some visitors sneak in. Or should I call them visitors? We have Rhoda in the house, and Rotimi seems to have gotten all internet issues resolved. So we would just like to hear your take. We've talked a lot about love in the ear. And where we are now, is how do we? They're now talking about children, and what we're saying, how do we get children to show kindness and love? Because if you can start it at an early age, then they'll be better adults. So maybe we'll start with Rhoda, and then we come back to Rotimi. So Rhoda, over to you.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone. So excited to be in the Love Week. The Love Week. Right. I mean, love in the ear. I think, they say do as I do, Abby. And really, just for me, when I think about love in the ear, it's like, the entry upon which we know and give love. I once watched receive and give love. I once watched an opera series, and I've been following that woman forever. And there was this man who was, you know how people know when you have a certain condition and you've been given a certain number of days or months or a timeline to live. And Oprah interviewed this man, and she asked him, what's one thing you would advise the world to do, and just knowing from your perspective, from your perspective. And his words, and he says, never left me. He says, let the children paint the walls. And it has a lot of. He went on to explain what he meant by that, but it was, to allow children, to give love, to allow people to express themselves, to give correction in love, guidance in love, but most importantly, to make sure that everybody who comes around you, who is within your family space, who is usually the most important group of people in your life, whether it's the children that you have as yours or the ones that you meet in the course of your career, especially for us educators, is to allow them to express themselves. I literally allow them to paint the walls so that you can see who they are. I think love is the entry upon which people find expression and find and express it. So maybe if they can find it, but then how do they express it? So I think in this period, and I like what I think it was Safety Chick that said it. I think what I've done in my own family is try to emulate what love should look like, because love quarrels, and love also makes up, but love quarrels, but they also makes up almost immediately. So just being the model of as educators, being that model or that seeks to share what love really is, which is that, I regardless of who you are, I will teach you, I will educate you in the way that have deceived you because I love you. And loving you means that I will plan for you, I'll prepare for you, I will guide you, I will go through the sacrifice and the pain for you. And that's what true love is. All this everything else that we see as a dressing of love is found in actions. And so, love in here, what are the children hearing? What are they seeing you do? How are they seeing you respond to which is why I don't conflict. Which is why I'm so against corporal punishment, so against all of those things that express that we normally correct as a medium of oh, if you don't use the cane, did they say how they say they spare the rod and spoil the rod and spare the child. So all those kinds of things, because when you look at it, you think about it from the point of view of you are expressing anger, in trying to correction, and you are expressing a form of violence in corruption. So I'm looking at various parts of education and how we can really just express ourselves to children, and really it's all about what they hear, and the entry of hearing is also what they see. Yeah.
Thank you, Rhoda. Rotimi, back to you. Love in the ear.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Rhoda. How are you today? And for those of you just joining, this is Good Morning Education Show. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for making it a show that is complete. Also, I'd like to state this as well, but better still, probably turn it into a question. There are certain things that we do and it doesn't reflect the intention of love. And by extension, it's sometimes subject to confusion. So we have the issue of, for example, expulsion. In what case or in what place do we begin to look at things like expulsion, rules and regulations in schools? Most times they tend not to perspective. It's like you're looking for someone who would naturally bend or beat the rules so that you can effect some of these things. And Rhoda also mentioned that also when we talk about punishment or but better still discipline, we sometimes see the test of love in place because one will remember some of the things we've gone through while growing up. And it's almost like someone is delighted to get to punish you or to get to discipline you. It's like he's been praying for that day to happen. I remember some teachers that, before they now deal with you by beating you, they would smile and, show the excitement and pleasure that finally you got into the web. You were caught. It's like a spider waiting for insect. I'm honestly, as I'm saying, I can relive the experience, that is like today, finally you are mine. It's just so sad that we don't see that happen. So for me, love in the air is like you all have rightly said, is an extension of love, but it's also an expression beyond intention. It's something that we can also systemize, and I think we also have to take into fact or consideration. Love is not in the movies. Love is not what we see. I think there's a lot of copycat or copy and paste kind of things that because you want to show you're someone who loves someone or who loves people, who loves their stuff, you want to display love in a European context, you want to display love in an Arabian context. I think we need to tell ourselves the truth. We are Africans, and we need to come out with our own African language of love. Do you get? Roses are not the best expression. You probably give people roses, for example, and they just smile because they know they see it in the movies. But if you took people for a buffet, we know in Africa we love to eat. A buffet at any day, any time will pass more than roses, of course. So things like that we need to look at it in
Not
depth.
necessarily. I think that's like chocolates, The reality is sometimes what I found is that love, or the definition of love, is what you know and what you have been exposed to. So you then develop your own views of it. So I, for example, I appreciate flowers. I appreciate chocolates, I mean, I appreciate food, but I also appreciate some of those other things. I just wanted to just chip that in.
Yeah, that's good. But like it also is the fact that we're exposed to things. We also must understand that on the larger perspective, where we gravitate to tell people to do things, we tend to jettison what is really contextual to us. And even while we do that, and it looks like we're politically correct, the fulfillment and the effect is missing, both in the short term and the long term. So that's why I find that before the advent of proliferation of social media, if you were going to have a birthday, what's a birthday without a cake? That's the perspective we've been raised with. What's a birthday without a cake? But even in university, I had people who had to go through the horrors of using sand to bake cake, turn sand into oven, just because they want to have the birthday cake, While I'm not saying cake is bad, but I'm just saying that we need to look deep inside to reflect the context and social reality that we have to be able to experience love ultimately.
Yeah, Rotimi, I think for me, the celebration of love is actually the celebration of kindness.
Exactly.
And I know that this is something that is going to be everywhere in all of our schools. And I really hope that we don't have teachers who are communicating or expressing or creating activities for children or students in the school of love, and the kids are just looking at them, I just hate you. And so again, in the world of education and now and where in our classrooms around the world, where we're supposed to be championing the concept of love and kindness and friendship and all those positive feelings that every student should get nourished for in schools. We really need to use this period, to be not just examples of love through kindness and friendship, and also I mean, in a commemorative manner, but to also institute that in the classroom culture. Because when we talk about culture change and things, this is part of it. So part of all the things that great educators have offered as best classroom management practices are all hinged from the concept of love. I accept you the way you come. So when we talk about brainstorming, it's an expression of kindness and love, because you're telling your students, stand and talk to each other, come talk, brainstorm, and you agree upon agree upon an answer. And when you build that kind of culture where students are going around themselves and saying, your idea is noble, my idea is noble, your idea is noble, everybody's idea is great. It's a concept of kindness that is deep, and friendship and sharing. And so this the whole concept of love and all symbolized in this period is really just teaching the concept of kindness, friendship, and sharing. And I hope that that's what is passing through the ears, and not just the ears, but that where students are seeing it as actionable steps or actionable an actionable lifestyle. And so the more we breed people who go out to the world to consider the next person, the better, the least corrupt, the least corruption, or how do I speak that in English? The better we'll be as a society.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Titi is missing. She's dropped out. All right. So as we bring the show to us a close, quick one. How do we institutionalize? Now we know that Valentine is a regular day that people consider. But then within the school system, within the education system, how do we institutionalize this concept of love in the air, love and expression and extension? How do we institutionalize it? I'd like to hear from Safety Chika, I'd like to hear from KK, and also from Rhoda. How do we do that in our individual units, in our individual organization?
Okay, so earlier we had spoken about modeling, and then Mrs. Ajayi also gave the example of exchange of gifts, so and a benchmark for the gift range, so that all staff would get something, and everybody is always excited, about the exchange of gifts, and yes, so I think that's one way to institutionalize it. And
So
maybe again, another thing that can be done is maybe an event. An event can happen in school where it's just celebrating love, not boy girl kind of love, just celebrating kindness. So and the events could have short drama clips that are showing random acts of kindness, a debate on the importance of being kind, even to people that can never be able to repay you, because we're trying to normalize kindness. It's kindness that eventually breeds love, and from being kind, you are able to begin to demonstrate certain virtues, certain character and all that. And it's really great if we're able to incorporate it in children's life from when they are small. So an event like that could, encourage that kindness. So yeah, that's what I think. Can we still hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
He has that again.
Okay. I think
Oh,
Mr.
he
Arito went
has.
out. I'm done, so another person can go.
Take it away.
Okay, let's Rhoda, are you taking the mantle?
No, you, KK, go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, we had mentioned earlier what we could do. Really, we even talked about policies and said we should have policies that are enabling, policies that are created to ban people and make people feel like they're constantly in trouble or they're not free. And we need to really have systems where people feel loved, people know that they're loved and supported, that even when the wrong thing is going on in school, maybe because the person didn't quite understand what they should have done or they were new, they understand and they can clearly see the support systems within the organizations where they work. So that really is very important. So it's not just about the one day of showing love, it's a continuous practice of celebrating love, celebrating one another, celebrating our diversity, and just being those people who have deep understanding that we're all different, but everybody brings something to the table. And that cannot be de-emphasized in any way. Back to you guys.
thank you
Okay,
so
so
much.
for me, I mean, I agree. Culture change is key, and usually culture changes happen as a result of policies, strong policies. But there's a concept that I've been following for a while that I feel like, I mean, it's something that we need to begin to do in many schools. It's called restorative justice, and many times students understand love from the expression of how you handle bad behavior as well. So when they see whether it's them or from another student, and they're watching you on how you deal with student behavior that is not palatable, I think that you cannot never really measure love when everything is okay. And so when things are not going well in your school, how do you handle it? When students come up with bad behavior, how do you handle it? When staff comes out with bad behavior, how do you handle it? Those are real strong areas of expressing love, and the concept of restorative justice is something that people need to. Is probably something we can talk about another time because it's quite a strong concept that needs to be built out properly. I think that's one strong way to express and institute love, or the sharing and giving of love, because I mean, zero tolerance policies many times may seem like they're the answer to, like bad behavior in the heat of the moment, but they really aren't, because what they are is that they are a short-term fix for fear that is based on fear. And so it's usually only focused on like a rule that was broken or a punishment that was deserved. So instead of us, trying to make things right, it's better we just try to respond to the harm that was done. So restorative justice for me is one way that we can institute love.
Fantastic, brother. We've actually talked about that, if you remember, before on the show. Remember,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we actually explored an example where a particular school I consult for, one of the students that was like a pain in the neck
Yeah.
was sent to a son's office. Like, he had a day with his son, based on the fact that his ambition was to be a lawyer. And then coming back to school, there was a total change in behavior, because he could now see a picture of his future. He ate with the son. He had just like, the way you have a one day governor kind of thing. That was the way he was driven. He was treated with respect. He was in meetings. That thing just made him look like, what, I better behave if I want to really achieve the success I desire. And that's it. And like it is said, and then of course, like Keke also has said, we need to, not just the examples of it, we need to try to model it in a calendar format, because in the school system, policies sometimes really get expression, even though they exist. And we need to look at it from that angle. Just like you have World Teachers Day, we should have Teacher Appreciation Day. We should have Student Appreciation Day. We should have things like that, and many more. But I'm afraid this is where we have to draw the curtain on the show today. And KK, thank you for joining. I know it's been a busy week for you. We appreciate your presence, and we look forward to seeing your face as well. And of course, Rhoda, I know that it's been back to back for you.
My face is Rotimi, you cannot be tired of me. You can't be tired of me.
You are still owing me Eba dates. Maybe you use it for your Valentine. Restorative justice. And the soup must have takeaway. It's not the one that something that can at least be looking and be texting you and be praying from my heart. I say, God bless Keke. God bless Keke. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Valentine weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be good. Show some love. Look for someone to show love to. Just be that person that will show love. Thank you for those who joined us today for the first time. We had first timers today. Grace Amoka, bell of blessing to you. Thank you for joining. And then we had who else? We had the first time Florence Ojomi. Thank you, bell of blessing to you, and everyone that joined the show for the first time. KK, just read the last comment from Olushola, and then we'll call it a goodbye.
Fantastic. Olushola says, real love comes with positives and builds moral identity. Studies indicate that people who practice loving kindness for just a few weeks can experience more self-compassion and positive emotions and relief from depression, anxiety, and chronic pain. Give, and it shall be given unto you is not limited to money. Fantastic. Whatever you desire, joy, love, smile, respect, trust, etc., give it to others. And dare I say that, give it to yourself first. Then it's actually much easier to give it to others. Thank you for that fantastic comment. Olushola Olumide, fantastic comment.
So
fantastic comment.
We give a bell of blessing to that comment. We give a bell of blessing to everyone. And this is our Valentine gift to everyone. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Keke and I are going to be having an Eba weekend date. So tell your husband, I'm coming to town. I'm coming. All right, take care, everyone. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Have a great time. And remember, it's always a great morning on a Good Morning Education.
On the Good Morning Education.
Bye.